when you were starting to plan this year, what were you looking at? What were you focusing on?
Focusing obviously on student safety. We have never ever planned the school around a national pandemic, so it has been a challenge. We were fortunate enough to be able to host a summer school on our campus with 80 students, so that was a mini version. It was like a trial for us, and the X's that you see here on the floor for social distancing are actually still from that time. So we have had some time to practice with real children in here, and we feel confident that our students are safe on campus today.
And tell me about I know a lot of people are concerned, well, will younger kids wear their masks? How do you try to get the kids to understand the importance of wearing the masks?
I have been into every single classroom today, and every single child has had their mask on, unless there is obviously a family with an exemption. Honestly, we have not had any issues. Parents are very understanding, and it is not something that we came up with. This is something that everybody does to keep themselves and others safe. And I'm sure there will be instances where we will have to allow students to lower these masks because it is new. It is difficult, especially when we start going into outdoor activities. So we'll just have to be cognizant and make sure that children are okay. But right now, everybody's doing wonderfully, and we appreciate your cooperation.
And you mentioned a situation. How about kids in the cafeteria? That's another big challenge, right? Grouping. Kids want to interact with one another.
Absolutely. One of the things that I have in my principal toolbox is now a measuring tape. And so we have tried to separate students as much as we can. With our building obviously being an older building, social distancing is not always possible, but we distance students as much as we can. So in our cafeteria, our students are 4.5 feet apart, and all desks are turned, or tables are turned the same way. So nobody's facing their food. Obviously, when they're eating, they are allowed to lower their masks, and we cohort students. So this way, if there's any kind of an exposure or something we need to look into, then we know exactly who to talk to, and then not everybody would be affected.
That contact tracing, right? And everybody who goes into a classroom has to sign a book, right?
Yes, sir. We have logs in the office for visitors. We hope to keep visitation contained to the office area. But then obviously our coaches, our administration, as we are visiting classrooms, we do sign in, we timestamp that to make sure that if there is a need for contact tracing, we have the documentation available.
Are you guys concerned at all, like having seen, you're not the first school district to go in, Martin County, and we've seen now that Martin has had to transition some classes. Are you guys prepared to have to do that if necessary too?
We are. We have, obviously, as a school, instruction has to become our focus at some point. So even though we focus on safety, we have planned for 2 options for school. One is face-to-face, and we currently have 120 students on this campus who are logging in virtually. That is our 2B classroom, and then other teachers are ready to go, just in case if there is a shutdown, in case they have to transition to virtual learning. We have now experts here who can train them and assist with that transition as well.
What else did I miss? So you said, everything was smooth this morning. What percentage of kids would you estimate? About half of your kids are here today, you'd say?
Yes, our typical enrollment is 635 students. We had 380 of them who were enrolled in option 1, and we tried to keep the class ratio about 16 to 18, and classes are full today. So we are still working on the final warm body count, that's what we call it, the count for students on first day of school, and I am anticipating close to 400 students on campus. Also, we have already looked into our first virtual classrooms, and we have a lot of excited tigers logging in, and so I'm anticipating another 100 to be in attendance that way as well.